You ever get that mini heart attack moment when you accidentally leave the store with a new shirt and that security tag lets out a shriek heard around the world? I swear, it's like a modern-day siren song, but instead of luring sailors to their doom, it's broadcasting my forgetfulness to everyone in a 5-mile radius.
A siren song of shame, perhaps. But it's fascinating how these little tags have become so ubiquitous. We encounter them everywhere, from groceries to gadgets, and they all tap into this surprisingly long history of transponders.
Okay, so we're diving deep into the world of transponders. Those tiny tech marvels that seem to be silently orchestrating so much of our modern lives. What exactly are they and what makes them so essential?
In the simplest terms, a transponder is a small device designed to send out a signal when it receives a specific signal. Think of it as a kind of call and response system. And at their core, they fulfill our very human desire to measure and track things.
So from those embarrassing security tags to the ones we can barely see,
Yeah.
it all boils down to getting information about, well, everything.
Precisely. And it's not just about inventory control or preventing shoplifting. The history of transponders takes us back to some pretty high-stakes situations. Did you know one of their earliest applications was during World War II?
Wait, seriously, were they attaching tiny price tags to fighter jets back then?
Not exactly a price tag, but you're spot on with the concept of tagging. During the war, they needed a way to tell friend from foe in the air, and that's where the IFF system, or identification friend or foe, came into play.
So a high-tech way to avoid any unfortunate friendly fire incidents. Talk about high stakes.
Exactly. It was a matter of life and death. Allied forces would send out a radio signal, and if the plane responding was friendly, its transponder would chirp back with a specific code. It was revolutionary technology at the time, and really laid the groundwork for how we use radio waves for tracking even today.
That's incredible. From dodging bullets in the sky to making sure I don't set off any alarms at the store, these little tags have come a long way. So how did we go from those early radio-based systems to the sophisticated transponders we have today?
A lot of it comes down to the electromagnetic spectrum. Those early IFF systems used radio frequencies, and we still use similar frequencies for things like those store security tags, which often operate around 125 kilohertz.
Okay, so lower frequency radio waves for those smaller everyday items. But what about things that are really valuable or need that extra layer of security?
That's when we bump up to microwave frequencies. Think high-value electronics. These systems often require removal at checkout because they have a more focused range, making them harder to, shall we say, misplace.
That makes sense. So we've gone from radio waves to microwaves. Are there any other surprising places where we find transponder technology lurking?
Believe it or not, even something as commonplace as a barcode falls into this realm.
Wait, those black and white stripes you see on every product are transponders. You're blowing my mind here.
They are, in essence, visual transponders. We're talking visible light frequencies here. The barcode reader shines a light, and those black bars absorb it, while the white space is reflected back. That reflected light creates a pattern, a code that the reader interprets to identify the product. Simple yet elegant, don't you think?
Mind officially blown. So from radio waves to microwaves to plain old light, it seems like the name of the game is finding the right frequency for the job.
It's not always about finding a better or more advanced frequency, though. Each part of the spectrum comes with its own set of strengths and weaknesses.
So choosing the right transponder is more about finding that sweet spot between range, cost, and readability. It's all about finding the right tool for the job, even in the world of invisible signals and silent codes.
Precisely. And as we delve deeper into the world of transponders, we'll uncover even more fascinating examples of this delicate balancing act.
You know, thinking about all these different frequencies and applications, it's hard not to picture a future where everything is tagged, sending out streams of silent data. It's like something straight out of a science fiction novel. I can practically see those little microchips embedded in my breakfast cereal telling me it's gone stale.
It's a future that's not as far-fetched as it might seem. Remember that desire we talked about, the need to measure and track. That drive has only intensified in our data-driven world.
Okay, so we've established that humans love to measure things. But how does that translate to our everyday lives? We're really surrounded by these invisible data streams?
Absolutely. Think about those key fobs we use at gas stations. Mobile Speed Pass, Shell Easy Pay, those are powered by transponders. Wave it by the pump, information is exchanged, and you're on your way. No more fumbling with cards or PIN pads.
Wow, you're right. I never stopped to consider that those convenient little fobs were part of this whole transponder network.
And it doesn't stop there. Consider toll roads. Many systems now use transponders often placed on your windshield. You breeze through the toll plaza, the reader picks up the signal, tracks your movement, and deducts the toll automatically. It's all about seamless, almost invisible tracking.
You're blowing my mind here. It's like these little tags are the silent puppet masters of our modern conveniences working behind the scenes to make our lives a little easier. But it also makes you wonder, where do we draw the line? At what point does convenience start to feel a bit intrusive?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? As these transponders become smaller, cheaper, and even more deeply integrated into the fabric of our lives, we have to grapple with these questions of data privacy and security.
It's a fascinating and complex issue for sure. And speaking of fascinating and complex, that article you shared mentioned smart appliances. Are those futuristic washing machines that can decode my laundry needs actually on the horizon?
The idea of appliances that can communicate with each other and with us is no longer a far-off fantasy. Imagine a washing machine that can read the tags on your clothes, select the optimal cycle, and even alert you when the dryer's ready, all without you lifting a finger.
Okay, that does sound pretty convenient, I have to admit. But it also brings up all sorts of questions about who has access to that data and how it's being used. It really makes you think,
It does.
about this future where our cars, clothes, maybe even our coffee mugs are part of this hidden network, this constant flow of information. It's kind of amazing and a little creepy all at the same time.
It's that push and pull between convenience and control. That's what makes this technology so fascinating and important to discuss.
And a little overwhelming, if I'm being honest. Like, are we even ready for this?
Yeah.
This future where everything has a tiny digital voice?
Well, in a way, we're already living in it, aren't we? Every time we tap our phones or use a voice assistant, we're interacting with this world of data. The challenge is to make sure we're shaping this technology and not the other way around.
So how do we do that? How do we enjoy all the amazing things transponders can do without feeling like we're giving up our privacy in the process? What are the things we need to be thinking about?
Well, I think it starts with education, right? Understanding how these systems work, where the data goes, and what kind of safeguards are in place. Once we're armed with that knowledge, we can start asking the right questions and demanding more transparency from the companies and organizations using this technology.
It's like that old saying, knowledge is power. Even when we're talking about invisible signals and silent codes, the more we know, the better equipped we are to navigate this brave new world.
Absolutely. We can't just sit back and let the future happen to us. We have to be active participants in shaping it, making sure that technology serves humanity and not the other way around.
Well said. And on that note, listeners, it looks like we've reached the end of our deep dive into the world of transponders. From those wartime signals in the sky to the tiny chips that keep our groceries from going bad, it's clear that transponders in all their forms have become an integral part of our modern world.
And their journey is far from over.
So the next time you hear that beep of a security tag or speed through a toll booth without even slowing down, take a moment to think about the intricate world of transponders quietly working behind the scenes. And maybe, just maybe, you'll be inspired to learn a little bit more about the unseen forces shaping the world around us. Until next time, thanks for listening.